Hello, I am William Jordan.
And I am not amused.
Are you ready? Hello, I am William Jamar,
And I'm Hattie.
and this is our podcast, HattieJo. What are we doing? So, how's it going?
It's going.
It's going.
Yeah.
So it has been a couple of months since our last podcast. It's been a busy summer with this and a little bit of that. So we are going to actually just kind of update everyone on kind of how life is going, and maybe you can tell, maybe you can't, but we are currently in our new digs.
I don't think people can tell. Because the last place it was just like blank wall, and this place is just blank wall. I promise if we turn the camera around, it'd be a whole new place.
Yeah. So that was like literally our last episode. Was in our old apartment, and
We're way behind.
we're not that far behind. It's only like a couple of like. It's literally like if we did 2 episodes, like it would be.
Yeah.
So it's not really like it feels like it's been a while, but it's only like really 2 episodes.
Okay. Well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah. So
Plus, we haven't heard from any fans clamoring for another episode. So
they're just waiting
I don't
patiently.
think. Yeah.
They understand our plight and that like we work hard, and so they understand like, hey, what we do is providing them a service. They don't need to hound us about said service. So we appreciate you guys.
You
Yeah,
guys
we
are the
appreciate you
best.
guys.
We love you.
So yes, we have bought a new house. As we were like towards the beginning of this year, we kind of started looking and.
Well, we had been looking for a while, but we weren't ready to buy.
Yeah, Hattie was doing more looking. I didn't start until this year.
Seeing what's out there.
Yeah, we started the new year and kind of really dove kind of headfirst into the process, and have this lovely 3-bedroom, 2.5 baths. Yeah.
Little backyard garage.
Yes.
2-car garage.
So it's been a nice little upgrade. There's so much more space here.
And it's so much nicer to have space.
So,
than the little 2-bedroom apartments we've been living in.
Yeah.
Or townhome, but similar kind of size.
Yeah. So it is.
We
really nice.
effectively doubled our square footage.
Yeah.
Even though 2 of the rooms we don't even use because those are guest rooms for the moment, but it's just nice to have space.
Yeah, I would say that was like over the summer and like towards the end of May into June, like that was the biggest transition or like biggest like new thing that happened to us.
I mean, it's one of the biggest things that will happen, and I feel like it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Definitely a big thing in general.
First house.
So that has been really nice, and your parents came down and helped us move in, and then we had some of one of your coworkers and his neighbor.
My supervisor and his neighbor came to help me move. It was so nice.
So that was really nice of them, and it turned something that I thought was going to take like from sun up to sundown, only from sun up until like noon. So that was
yeah.
So that was much appreciated, and like with the summer heat, like we got it all done before like the heat really like hit us.
Right, and it was back in May too, so yeah it worked out amazingly. I was really pleased.
Yeah, and then we were able to upgrade around the house a little bit and make some adult purchases that tend to happen.
That sounds like not what you intended.
Adult purchases?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where your mind is going there, Hattie. But we definitely like upgraded some things, and so it's nice to be here.
It is nice to be here.
And so the next kind of update, I of course, so I was working at Archway Lincoln, but now I have moved to Archway North Phoenix. And so that is
much closer.
yeah,
to where
much closer to where
house
like
is.
our current house is, and so that's really nice. And like we've been doing some orientation stuff and kind of getting to know each other. And so most people know, like I'm a teacher, so I teach third grade. And so that is definitely going to be like an adjustment. You're at one place for 2 years, and you get to know some people, and you kind of create some bonds and some friendships. And you don't really like. It kind of hit me like it hit me last week. We had like a conference with like all of our schools in our network, and it kind of hit me at the conference. Like we all got a chance to like see each other and like hug and catch up and like find out, like get life updates, and it was just like, wow, like it just an emotional connection. We created a connection, and like it was through all of us just like working hard and like trying to do what was best for the students and trying to make sure they had like a positive year. But through all that hard work that each of us put in and supporting each other to like make sure like, hey, like, are you okay here? This is what worked for me. Like that really created like a bond that like I definitely have more an appreciation for now that like I'm kind of in a new space with like new people and like building like new relationships. It definitely makes me a little bit sad for like the old ones that we had and like the years that we had together, and how like and that they really meant something. Like those are good people down there, and so I'm excited to work with the new people at HattieJo North Phoenix. But I'm also doing some coaching, and so this year I will not be coaching football, which I've done the past 2 years.
How do you feel about that?
We'll kind of just see how it goes. It's not like
It's just a neutral.
yeah, it's not like the greatest thing ever. It's not the worst thing ever. And I've like honestly, I've kind of gone through this transition before when I like left Duke football and went to like student athlete development, and so like I was no longer coaching or doing stuff with football anymore. And so like I feel like this is a similar situation where I'm probably gonna have like a lot more time on my hands to like do like random stuff or like
or relax.
Read, or relax. So like
what a concept.
So I'll have like a lot more free time, but I'm also going to be coaching at North Valley Christian Academy, coaching basketball. And so I'll still get to do some coaching, and who knows, maybe like later on in the year there'll be opportunities to coach at North Phoenix. But like I'm enjoying it. Like we got a really good team at North Valley Christian, so I'm really excited to see like how things go this year and kind of how I can help push the kids to be the best version of themselves. So it's exciting new times, because definitely like even though I built some relationships at Lincoln in terms of basketball and being with the players and football, like, and I'll miss those guys. It's exciting to kind of get to start basically from scratch with this new team and kind of see how far we can go, because I think we're gonna have a pretty good season. So we'll do a little bit more winning than maybe it's been had in the past, but maybe not. So we'll see. Like we got to put in the work and see where that takes us. But I'm excited for the journey.
Nice. You should be.
So yeah. So that's what's kind of the new career kind of shift for me. How are things going for you at work?
They're going.
They're going.
So I do engineering and scientific consulting at a company called Exponent. What's it called? Maybe not I was gonna say humble brag, but maybe it's not that humble and it's just a brag. But
All humble brags and brags are the same. One's just, oh, I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart. No, you're not. You're just telling us like the truth.
One thing I'm proud of myself for, the truth, I am proud of myself for this, is I was retained as an expert witness on my first case recently.
Ooh.
Yep. So the majority of my work is supporting other experts that have been doing this for a lot longer, and so I'll do a lot of the same analyses and everything, and a lot of the same preparation, but when it comes time to go to deposition or trial or any of the actual litigation, they're doing that. And obviously they're, like in a lot of the cases, they'll be directing the analysis, or I'll be like, I'm not sure what to do here, and they'll, kind of figure it out. So definitely, I'm not at that level yet, but it's certainly one of the more straightforward cases. It's a good starter case. So I was pleased to be retained on that, and I think the analysis has gone well so far.
Nice.
So yeah.
It's funny, I get since I'm at a new job, people will often ask me so what does your wife do? What is her role? And I'm like, well, so she works for this company. And it's basically a consulting company, and so basically she just recreates car crashes. And I'm like, oh, this sounds so exciting. Your wife must be the smartest person ever. I'm like, yeah, she is pretty smart, and she does a great job, but yeah, she gets to recreate car crashes and tell you, did it happen that way or did it not happen that way, and then the injuries that you sustained, is that really, is it a possibility that you sustain those, or is it not a very high likelihood?
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually a really good way to put it, because I work with a bunch of people that kind of recreate how the cars moved, and then I recreate how the person moved inside the car and how they may or may not have gotten injured. So it's kind of they both work together, right? Because if two cars just hit each other and you don't know what happened to the people inside, it's well,
yeah,
that's fine. But if you're just trying to figure out what happened to the people inside, you can't really figure that out unless you know how the cars moved and hit each other.
Yeah.
So they're two very complementary aspects, and we work together a lot with that. So the classical accident reconstruction is not something I do a ton of. That's more of the how did this car move and blah, blah, blah. But the person inside and how did they subsequently get hurt because of the motions of those vehicles, and how we might keep them safer in the future, or did it happen this way? And sometimes it's not even car crashes, sometimes it's other types of anything where someone could get injured. So sometimes that's intentional injury, sometimes most of the time it's unintentional, right? Workplace, sports, random accidents, motor vehicle accidents, things like that. So yep, there's always something interesting afoot. It's never a dull moment. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so some other exciting things that happened to the summer. I went back to South Carolina for a week. So it's great to see my family and my grandma and my aunts, and everyone's doing fairly well. I wouldn't say great, but everyone's doing well and keeping on. It's fighting a good fight. So it's good to see everyone and kind of be back in my old stomping ground a little bit in good old South Carolina. And then of course, me and my bros, we went on our annual Last Man Standing trip to New Orleans.
So who was the last man standing? I don't even think I've heard.
Well, I don't think that would it wasn't
I feel like it was you.
If you technically the last man standing was Tyler. If you really wanted to go on technicalities, for this trip, it was definitely Tyler. But we had it was a good time.
I think it's gonna be a good time no matter what. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
So
I think eventually the last man standing is at the end of your lives, not
That's sad, because then there's no one to go on last man standings with if it's the end of your life.
Yeah, but it's in theory you're supposed to do it every year, and then as people pass on, you have all these memories, but eventually there's only going to be one of us Like, and that will be the last man standing. So
I thought it was more like who won the weekend, like who.
Oh no. It's definitely much more about like the last man. We're gonna
But I
continue.
thought there was
this.
like the last man standing, and they get to choose the location for the next year.
Oh no, the location is always much more of a like
Collaboration.
collaboration agreed upon, like destination. Yeah. And so we have agreed and decided on a destination for next year.
Toronto, right?
Yeah, Toronto. So it should be a good time. I'm excited to go to Canada, eh?
I'm gonna be really sad if the first time we go to Canada isn't even with me.
Well, it's gonna happen unless we schedule a trip like before June of next year. Like, yeah.
My dad's Canadian, for those of you that don't
So
understand.
she actually had like you have an uncle and
two uncles,
and an
aunt.
aunt that still live in Canada.
My grandmother also.
Yeah, I remember like when I was in high school, I had he was like a trainer. He was a athletic trainer, but he still like was in school, so he was getting his hours to be certified, and so like he was at this college, but he came down and worked with us, and he was a really cool guy. He was from Canada. He rooted for the Canucks, the Vancouver Canucks. And he would always give us the Canada. Eh? So he liked to play video games too. It's my first time realizing, like, I guess he was kind of like college age, so I still associate that with like playing video games. But
It was your first time realizing what?
like I was gonna say like my first time realizing that like adults past like
Out of college?
out of college played like video games, but he was still in college, so technically it doesn't count.
But also, I mean, I feel like that's like such an interesting thought process, because it's like, okay, May 10th, like graduation May 11th or whatever day it is. May 10th, you play all the video games, you love it. Like, what's supposed to happen on May 11th and 12th? You just like wake up and don't do it anymore? You know, like, of course.
No, but like anytime you become an adult, like after a certain age, like you have other responsibilities that like your time is taken away from like video games. Like,
true,
you don't have that free time anymore. That's more what I meant. But like he would actually like bring video games into the training room, and like we would play in the video, like in the training room. So like it wasn't like he had an affinity for like video games that was
above and beyond.
It was like I spend way too much time in here not doing anything, not have video games. So that was
Well, I'm glad that happened.
Old Canada. So yeah.
So we also, another update, we got COVID this summer.
We did, unfortunately.
Yeah. In the past 2 weeks, like we spent the past 2 weeks kind of recovering.
Oh yeah, so we're definitely
recovered now.
Yeah, we definitely recovered. I tested negative and felt good to go back out in the world. Although the world was saying like you can come back here after 5 days, I was like, I would still like to test negative before I go back out.
Yeah, like after 5 days, I was still hacking up a lung, like coughing all over the place, not feeling good at all.
Yeah, and I was definitely like, I felt like my symptoms were like, for the most part, I had a good number of days where I felt like fatigued, a little bit more than usual. I wouldn't say my routine really changed much, but like,
You're also on summer break, so I mean,
like I definitely felt like more fatigued without like exerting any energy.
That's understandable.
So yeah, but outside of that, like there was one day where I had like a fever, but it didn't like.
And that day you were also like, I'm on the couch this whole day. I'm not feeling good.
Yeah, and like I didn't feel good the whole day. I didn't really move, but I felt like I just had the chills. Like I was really cold. But yeah, I survived. thankfully. And it was like pretty mild symptoms, I would say.
On this grand scale of things, it was very mild. I mean, it was still like probably the worst cold that we've had in our entire relationship. Like the most sick we've ever been.
Yeah.
Like either of us have ever been.
No.
But it wasn't anything for us that it was like alarming or like I can't breathe or whatever. So we're very grateful for our vaccines. Yeah, it was just one of those classic cases of this is how viral transmission happens when there's no social distancing, no masking. It was like one family member, the next, like a deck of cards, just dominoes effect. Like yeah, that's how it happens. But yeah, so we're glad to be past that. But
I still don't know. Like, it's a mystery as to like where I got it from because I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, because we had one path of transmission which made sense, except for it seemed like you were sick before we got to see the people that pathway came from. Do you know what I mean? So it seemed like there's a high probability you could have gotten it from somewhere else.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely. I'm pretty sure that I got it before that like group of people.
Yeah, but I will say also like because different people like so you had that day where you were really sick, and it was on our vacation, and then there was another day of vacation, and then the next day we were coming home, and that was the day that I probably felt the most sick. Like I had more symptoms later. Like I didn't have many symptoms of like cough or runny nose at that time, but that was the day that I felt bad, and that was the day that I had a fever. Mm-hmm. But different. So my point with that is I started showing like sickness behaviors and like feeling bad after you did, but different people have like different timelines, and it was going around my office like nuts. So I'm also wondering like maybe I got it and you got it from me, and just the time course in your body was a little bit different than the time course in mine. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's equally as
likely a possibility.
Yeah, given that, I mean, you were going out to like the basketball team. You know, it's not like you were interacting with 1,000 people, but again, you don't have to interact with many people, and then to have the number of people they've interacted with suddenly. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, let's.
Yeah, so stay safe out there.
Finally got us. Yeah, stay safe out there. But
it's kind of how we've been doing. All right, deuces.